Today's story honestly sounds like something right out of a horror comedy, except this is not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. This is really not funny. What's up, ghouls and gals? Welcome back. We are actually taking a hard left today. Today I saw a TikTok from the account Silent Case about a bug-related death, and I figured today we could actually dive into that case. So if this is something you enjoy, please go ahead and give this a thumbs up. Give the Get Weird podcast a 5-star rating wherever you happen to be listening to this. I normally defer to my master list that I have corresponding to all the movies I talk about for this podcast, but there were no bug movies, like direct bug movies on that list, so I thought we would pivot today. So let's get into it and talk about the man who ate cockroaches to win a snake, a contest that turned deadly. Imagine hearing an advertisement that says, "Come down to your local reptile store tonight, eat a bunch of live cockroaches and worms, and you could win a snake." It sounds fake. It's one of those outrageous internet rumors like the Marilyn Manson rib removal that gets passed around every Halloween, but this actually happened. In October of 2012, a contest at a Florida reptile shop ended in tragedy when 32-year-old man Edward Archbold died shortly after winning the grand prize. It's one of those stories that raises a lot of questions. Why would someone enter a contest like this in the first place? Why do businesses create these outrageous promotions? And why are humans so fascinated by watching other people do things they probably shouldn't? Like I said, it was October 5th, 2012, at Ben Siegel Reptiles in Deerfield Beach, Florida. They were holding what they called their Midnight Madness event. The grand prize, however, was not cash. It was a female ivory ball python worth somewhere between $850 and $1,000, now worth a human life. Now, for reptile enthusiasts, that's a valuable prize because ball pythons, especially rare color ones like ivory, can be expensive, and collectors often spend years building breeding collections. But earning this snake required doing something that most people would never even consider. Not even Joe Rogan on his own show Fear Factor back in the day. He would never eat the bugs. What a wimp. Contestants had 4 minutes to eat as many live discoid cockroaches and worms as possible. About 30 people entered. Some participants gave up almost immediately, as I would. I wouldn't even enter, God. Others pushed themselves to keep going, and Edward Archbold was among most determined competitors. By the end of the contest, he had reportedly eaten 26 live cockroaches along with a number of worms, and he won. For a brief moment, he was the champion, but almost immediately after the contest ended, things took a frightening turn, and everything changed within minutes. Witnesses said Edward began vomiting. He looked visibly ill. He complained that he was not feeling well, and then he collapsed outside of the store. Paramedics rushed him to the nearest hospital, and despite emergency treatment, he was pronounced dead. And news spread incredibly quickly, and because the circumstances were so bizarre, speculation exploded. People wondered, were the cockroaches poisonous? Did they carry bacteria? Were they contaminated? Had Edward suffered an allergic reaction? Did I just get a notification? Yes, I did. Anyways, was there something wrong with the insects? The answers turned out to be very different than most people expected, because what actually happened, the medical examiner ruled Edward's death an accident. The official cause of death was asphyxia caused by choking and aspiration of gastric contents. In other words, After vomiting, insect material and stomach contents entered his airway and blocked his ability to breathe. Literally my worst nightmare. The insects themselves were not found to be poisonous. His toxicology report was completely negative. No drugs, no alcohol, no sex, no drugs, no wine, no women. Nothing unusual. Even more surprising, none of the other contestants became ill either. Edward's death appears to have been a tragic combination of circumstances rather than any kind of poisoning or infection. Some people assume that because something is edible, it must automatically be safe under every circumstance. But eating extremely large quantities of anything rapidly carries risks. Have you guys ever seen the bit on Tosh.0 where he made his staff go on a tilt-a-whirl and do the banana Sprite challenge? I'll leave you with that thought. It was horrific. Anyways, competitive eating has always come with dangers, even when the food is completely ordinary. The early 2000s and 2010s were full of outrageous publicity stunts. Radio stations held contests where listeners drank excessive amounts of water. Restaurants offered giant food challenges and still do. Beard meets food, Randy Santel, I'm looking at you. Events encouraged people to endure pain, discomfort, or embarrassment for prizes. Most were harmless, but some weren't. One of the most infamous examples was the 2007 radio contest, Hold Your Wee for a Wee, where participants drank large quantities of water without using a bathroom for a chance to win a Nintendo Wii. A contestant later died from water intoxication, leading to lawsuits and widespread criticism of dangerous promotional contests. And over the years, there have also been endurance contests involving prolonged dancing, standing, or sleep deprivation, Mr. Beast, gross activities that seem manageable at first but can become dangerous when taken to extremes. Cases like these prompted businesses and event organizers to rethink how far promotions should go, and the question became, at what point does entertainment cross into negligence? Now, whenever people remember this story, they usually focus on the headline, "The guy who ate the cockroaches for a snake." It's shocking, it's bizarre, but it's the kind of headline that practically writes itself. But behind that headline was a real person. Edward Archbold wasn't trying to become famous. He wasn't trying to become a cautionary tale. He entered a contest, he won a prize, and a series of tragic events unfolded within minutes. And his story serves as a reminder that even events designed to be entertaining can carry very real risks. And sometimes competition clouds judgment. Sometimes excitement is what makes people underestimate danger. And sometimes what seems like a harmless publicity stunt can have consequences no one anticipated. It's one of the strangest true stories to come out of the 2010s, but it's also one of the saddest. So this episode goes out to you, Edward. I will not be buying a snake in your honor, but should businesses be allowed to hold contests like this if participants willingly choose to enter? Or should there be stricter limits on dangerous promotional events? I would love to hear your thoughts. So that's going to do it for today's episode. If you've been enjoying our bug horror movie week on my horror channel, possibly where you're listening, let me know. What's your favorite creepy crawly horror? Stay strange, stay spooky, and as unbelievable as this story sounds, it serves as a sobering reminder that the truth can sometimes be stranger and far more tragic than fiction. Sayonara, Spooky Fam.